All right, just before we start, I guess for the kind of midway point, I know it's kind of become the thing to do. I'll start with a couple of injury updates. Arvidsson obviously has resumed skating. We're hopeful within the next 2 to 3 weeks, maybe coming out of that break, he joins us for practice. There's a protocol in place, and he's meeting all the standards right now. Lizotte, on the other hand, he'll be out with a lower body injury. We got confirmation yesterday. Probably, I would say week to week. Don't expect him back in a week. It's week to week. So probably, I would say after the break, we got 7 games to that break, and coming out of there would be a better time to assess it. So I guess I'll open up to questions. Might be the easiest instead of statements.
Rob, you only have a few levers to pull in a situation like this with what the team's been going through.
Yeah.
What have you been thinking about?
Well,
have you met with the team at all?
Yeah. And that's part of it and part of the job to do. I think from a standpoint, we've always relied on structure and system and defending. And I would say the last little bit, it's gotten a little away from us, and we have to get that back as a staple of the game. Todd's done a real good job at installing that over the years, and we have to continue that part of it. On the offensive side, on the transition, it's more the execution. We went over some things today with Todd over the Dallas-Detroit game on this past trip where outnumbered chances, whether it's 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s, whatever. Really nice transition, generating everything, but not getting the quality shots. So the execution part, the finishing part has dipped in the last 10 games. So there's two sides. You drop a little there and you drop on the defensive side. That is a structure of this team. Then as a whole, you're down in those games. So, that's been the focus. Yesterday was focus of just recovering. That was a long trip. It was a tough, difficult trip on the guys. Some hard games. And so get the rest. Obviously Todd had the design this morning with a practice off. Get the rest. And come tonight, put the focus on defending and execution on the offensive side.
When you're in a tailspin like this, and you're a contending team, you don't have a lot of roster flexibility.
Yeah.
An option would be to change the coach. Are you considering that at all?
Yeah, no, not at all. Like I said, our philosophy here for the past 3-4 years is on the structure and the system and the design and the buy-in of the players, and he's gotten that from the players. I'm going to rely on the players and the leadership to get us out of that. No one came home from that trip happy about what was on, but their focus coming in today was regaining that, but it is going to start by defending.
Well, with all the issues that you're dealing with, how taxing has this been on your club?
Well, I don't know if it's taxing. Guys don't want to go through different things in that, but you do have a process in place. And like I said, I'm going to you got to defend first, and you've got to keep that structure, and that will pull you out of it.
I know, Rob, you just said that Todd's safe, and that you're relying on the players to kind of help.
Players and coaches. So
how much will you evaluate Todd's over this next little stretch here in terms of being able to dig the club out of this?
Well, evaluate everybody doing it, but it is a group, and like I said, it's going to come back to the foundation that's been put in place here over the last few years.
Rob, off the back of those 2 questions, you guys have been very committed to Todd. Would it take something catastrophic like missing the postseason to consider?
I don't know if I can speculate there. This is a halfway point.
Rob, how would you evaluate PL so far?
Yeah, same as our group. I think early in the year we were difficult to play against with our matchups. But as a group, we've kind of slipped the last 10 games, and so individual players will help pull that out. Play with the puck has been good. We can get more out of them on the defensive side at recovering pucks and making the players around them better.
Rob, when you look a little further out, the trade deadline's coming in 6 or 8 weeks. You don't have a lot of cap space.
No.
How are you going to approach the trade deadline?
Yeah, well, it's a little different in the approach going into it. Right now, the speculation with Arvidsson plays big into this, right? I mean, you have to be able to put that back in the lineup. We're excited about his progression, and we don't see anything that would stop that from happening. Probably right around that time, maybe a week or 2 early if we can. So that would be one of the benefits. But then we're back to that situation we started with, really limited roster and cap space if everybody's healthy. Now I say that, Lizotte's out. So I know there's a lot of flexibility. Things will be fluid up until that point. but we envision Arvie being a big addition to us in that aspect. We miss him in our lineup. He's a goal scorer with a lot of energy for us.
What about some of the UFAs like a Matt Roy, for
Yeah.
example?
Yeah, and those will play. I think our process with them is probably the best scenario to let things play out and go from there. I don't know how much success we've had internally trying to do negotiations during the season with any UFA over the past. So you know, you see more and more teams do it. You know that these players help us get to where we need to be, so we use them.
Rob, on the last trip, Todd talked about developing 2 young defensemen.
Yeah.
Both Spence and Clark.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of chatter about Clark not playing, he's a scratch tonight.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the organizational approach of how you're gonna use these players?
Yeah, well,
outside the season?
I think part of that call-up was in related to cap space. We have the ability to carry an extra player, an extra forward, extra D, and extra forward on this road trip going forward. You know, those 2 young players have been talked to daily by the coaching staff about the different rotations and the way it's going. But you want to expose them to everything that we had to on this trip. I think it's important to get them into the NHL in different minutes and that'll be the rotation going forward.
When you look at the assessment of the, let's say, the young guys from game 1 of the season to halfway mark, like,
Yeah.
let's say LaFerriere,
Yeah.
and let's say maybe Kaliev's development in
Yeah.
Byfield,
Yeah.
you happy with where everything's at, or?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, we're sitting here at halfway point at 50 points. You always say 100 points gets you in. We're a little a game or 2 off of pace where we were last year. We were really good early on and slipped, but a combination of those young players taking steps and the other players maintaining their standard that we expect out of them.
Rob, have you, oh, go for it. Blaine, go for it.
In what ways has this team not met projections you had? And in what ways, if any, has it exceeded projections?
Not met. I don't know. The struggle the past 10 games for sure. Close games, but close doesn't always work. You got to find ways to get through it. Again, we've always in the past few years, relied on that structure and that system and that defending, and we got to make that an important part, even when the offense has slowed down a bit.
Rob, have you re-signed a pending UFA in season?
Yeah, I think Arvidsson. Sorry, not Arvidsson. Trevor Moore.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
I followed you.
Yeah, not fall. We've done them at times, and we've been done both, but you know it. Negotiations are never easy. Doesn't matter what time, but you know, for the most part, you don't want to mess with things when in season as least as possible. At least that's my standpoint.
There's no active ones as far as Roy.
No, nothing yet.
Okay.
Rob Clark was the obvious one knocking at the door in Ontario, but anybody
Yeah.
else down there, Thomas, Turcotte, anybody
Yeah,
you like?
both, and it was nice to see Alex get back in those games. You know, unrelated type injury from his past, but have played well, and Akil's taken a much bigger role. You know, with some of the guys up here and the injuries down there, some of those guys play more important roles, but those 2 both have been very good down there.
Rob, you mentioned the struggles over the last 10 games,
Yeah.
and I'm just wondering, can you reference a time when you were a player where you went through
Yeah.
this type of situation, and how that experience helps you as a general manager not to hit the panic?
Well, it's more the process and the underlining. You know, you'll look at all the different analytical numbers and the underlining parts of the game. Both the offense and the defense have slipped. Still pretty good in the league, but they have slipped from where we were the first 30 games, and that's where we want to get back to. And like we looked over some film today, I said on the execution of the transition game and what it leads to, whether it's a shot from the slot or different things. So. You know, all that, but from past experiences in that, yeah, you stick to it. You know, kind of the message to the players and the coach. This is our group. This is what we assembled this summer. We knew cap would be tough. We knew roster spots would be tough, but it's this group that will pull out of it.
As far as the goaltending goes, you
Yep.
obviously lost Copley throughout the entire
Yeah.
year. How confident are you in Talbot and Rich carrying
Yep.
throughout the entire season, maybe into the playoffs?
Well, I mean, that's why we had 3. That's 2 years in a row we've had to go that different direction. So that was in there. They've done a good job. I know like I said, the whole team as a whole in defending and offense in that, and I put categories with the goalies with that too. We need to be better than we were on this past trip. So, but yeah, that's what we have. Unfortunately, losing Phoenix for the year was not in the plan.
Rob, you mentioned the Trevor Moore extension last year. You guys showed a lot of faith in with that extension, given the injury problems he had around that time and promotion last year.
Yeah.
You've been rewarded in a big way with his play. I mean, how satisfying from the front office standpoint?
Oh, no, he's a good player. He showed that before. He's a really good player. He's a spark for us. And when you say, how do you get out of this? Who you lean on? Well, yeah, Trevor Moore we're going to lean on. We're going to lean on Adrian Kempe. You know Dowd, you know Kopitar. LaFerrier's coming into his job. That's what we lean on.
When Pierre-Luc Dubois is at his best.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's active, he's driving,
Yep.
he's creating space for himself and
Yep.
everybody around him. He's not doing it consistently.
Yep.
What more would you like to see from him?
Well, I think when he has a puck, there's a lot of good things happening. There's ways to get that puck back that we need more, but that's not on him. That's our team right now. When I say we want to defend and the structure and the system, it's getting into that structure and it's winning those battles, getting the puck back, because we have a lot of playmakers that when the puck's on their stick, they make good plays. Well, that execution's dropped off as a whole also. So there's a big combination there for all of us.
Rob, you talked a bit about Kale today. He was your big acquisition.
Yep.
He's been right out of assets and have to get
Yep.
in. He's on pace, I think, for a career 82-game low right now.
Yep.
Goals and assists.
Yep.
I mean, is there any disappointment or frustration with his production?
No, well, we would like to see more there. I think 5-on-5 points is probably very similar or very close to on par, the power play. But the first unit has been good this year, and they do take big minutes up there. So yeah.
Well, when you talk about execution, you have to credit the opposition.
Oh,
Do you think it's a case of 30 games in, there's more video on your team, and maybe strategically you have to change it up a little bit with respect to your approach on the ice?
Possibly. There's things we were doing, and when I say the execution and the end result of some of those outman rushes has dropped the past 10 games where they were there, the first 30. We can improve on that, but again, I'm going to go back to that defending. The stronger our structure and stronger our defending is, the more it'll create those chances.
Quinn Byfield's in the midst of a breakout
Yeah,
season now.
he's been good.
He's going to be an RFA after this year.
Yep.
Is there any discussions going on with this? I know you mentioned
Not during the
UFA.
season, yeah.
Would
yeah.
you like to keep him, like, his next contract would be long-term? Or?
We'll have to look and see what kind of space is available for that. But he is, just on his play alone, yes, he's been driving us a lot this year. He's taken steps, talk about the growth of a player, and now he adds a power play net front, and he's been having success on that. But he does a lot of work on that line, and we're seeing contributions from him.
How does it feel to go 15 minutes to a media conference and you haven't had one question about Byfield?
That's good.
Sticking with Hugh, you mentioned in the past the plan is eventually to move them back to the middle. He's playing
Yeah.
some really good hockey now. Obviously, you're not going to make that change now, but what is the timeline for maybe moving them back to the middle?
I don't think we have a timeline on that right now. He's having success where he is, and he's helping us.
Another young player you talked about before the season was Arthur Kallio.
Yeah.
He seems to be kind of
Yeah.
on the opposite spectrum with
Yeah.
kind of getting in and out of the lineup. What's your overall evaluation?
Yep,
of him so
we
far?
need a little more from him, and we got to get him to fit in a certain spot there. He's a work in progress, and we got to continue to work with him.
Is that spot alongside Dubois, is that really where you want to see him?
With the top six that we've went for the majority of this season, that's probably where, yeah.
Rangers coming in on Saturday, and obviously that means Jonathan Quick.
Yep.
With a little more time, how that played out last year,
Yeah.
does that change how you
I'm not sure there. I think, he should be remembered this weekend for the best goalie in our organization, and, celebrated that way, yes.
Rob, change is inevitable, but Billy Ranford's not around this year on a
Yep.
day-to-day basis. Have you tapped into him at all?
Yep.
And-
No, we stay in a lot of contact with him, just in the director of goaltending role he is in, sort of future going forward. He's on a learning process too, going from a goalie coach for that many years into this type of structure where there's a lot of scouting involved and organizing his staff.
With everything that's gone on the last 2 years, you've lost to Edmonton in the first round
Yep.
both times. Would anything less than a series win this year be considered a failure?
We want to be better each year, right? So that's our job.
Kopitar's face-off percentage is dropped.
Yeah.
He seems to be hampered somehow.
Yeah.
Is he hurting?
No, he wasn't on the injury report in that aspect.
So that doesn't answer it,
No.
but thank you. Your answer to that answer.